Welcome in, Jeremy Popielarz here with you guys and gals on what is week one of the NFL season. I'm here to answer all those start-sit questions for you, get those lineups locked and loaded, and we have breaking news. Sitting here watching Sunday NFL Countdown, and Tyreek Hill gets arrested. So what a way to start week one, right? Traffic violation. Apparently, he is going to be playing. Not really sure. Where we're going to go with that. Obviously, something we're going to have to watch as we head into kickoff. But not going to panic just yet here. Hopefully, he does make it to the field. But driving violation and getting detained is never doesn't usually mean it went well at that traffic stop. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, besides that, hopefully everybody's having a great morning. It's beautiful here in Western New York. Excited for the Bills home opener. And hopefully we get all wins for every single team that you're rooting for, which ain't going to happen. But maybe we get most of them. All right. So we're going to see first one this season. So I'm not sure if the YouTube comments make their way onto this platform. If not, I'm going to go ahead and pull that up just to double check. So before we do that, before we get into the questions, let me pull that up here. And then we will dive into it here bright and early. We got some questions that I did not get to on Twitter, so I'll go ahead and hit those as well here. So let me go ahead and pull this up here to see if we have any comments. And then we'll go from there. We'll see how that goes. Alrighty. All right. Let's start her off here. All right, so we got Steven Simmons. So that's at Steven Simmons 626 on X. We got George Pickens or Javonte Williams in the flex. So I'm going to roll here with Javonte Williams. I think that the Broncos are going to definitely have themselves a decent day today, and we're going to see Javonte Williams find his way into the end zone. That's kind of the tick over here for me. Does say it's half PPR, but George Pickens still scares me a little bit as far as the worry with Arthur Smith. We've seen Arthur Smith kind of fail to get Drake London involved, and we're expecting Drake London to be this kind of elite asset now without him there. So that kind of gives me some worries. I feel like George Pickens is a lot closer to Drake London than he is AJ Brown, who we saw Arthur Smith have a lot of success with. So I do worry a little bit still there. So I'm being a little cautious with George Pickens. I do think that there's a ton of upside there, obviously, with Pickens being truthfully one of the few options, but we know Arthur Smith. We're probably going to see some Cordell Patterson. We're going to see some Van Jefferson. So definitely going ahead and going with Javonte Williams there early on. Let's see here. Corey look at that. YouTube's working. Corey, how you doing this morning? Thoughts on Kyler Murray passing yards? Yeah, he's playing my Bills. Hopefully 0, right? No. I am not sure what the over-under is set for him. Let me see here. I have him projected for... Let me get to him. 1 second here, Corey. I have him at 267, which seems a little bit low. I think he'll fringe around the 3 point. Oh, 250. Yeah, I'd hit 225. I'd hit the over. Like I said, I got him at 267. Depending on how the game script goes, he might get closer to that 300, kind of where I was going there. That's on 38 attempts, so I think that's pretty logical. I have the Cardinals running 38 pass plays, 28 rushing attempts. So I do think that he probably gets over 225 pretty easily, personally. The Bills' defense is solid, but the loss of Poyer and Hyde is going to be interesting to see here as we move forward. Pass rush should be a little bit better, but I think Kyler he should be over 225 pretty easily there, Corey. David Jolson, how you doing here on YouTube? Half PPR. Have to choose between one of Lad McConkey, Rico Dowdle, or Iso Vias in flex. The issue with Yoshevich is it's kind of really more maybe game time, because if Chase plays, it's probably better for Yoshevich, to be honest, just because you're going to have that better defensive matchup for Yoshevich. You won't have to face Gonzalez. So I'm going to lean towards Rico Dowdle at the moment. And see if Chase will get in. Uh, so he is still questionable with the illness. It's on Sunday countdown. Sorry, I was yeah. My assumption is he kind of is too with T sitting. So Yoshivas would be in a good spot there, David. There's breaking news on Sunday night count or the Sunday NFL countdown. So that's why I was just trying to watch it. They're just talking about him probably not getting a deal done before the game, which no surprise there. But I would say that I'm going to lean towards Rico Dowdle. That should be, it's going to be a tough game in Cleveland, but it's going to be closer. And I think if the camp reports are true and Dowdle's kind of the guy, he's probably going to see a decent amount of opportunities. Ladd McConkey, I'm still erring on caution because we still have Josh Palmer, Harbaugh, and Roman, a little bit more of that old school coaching mentality. We may not see McConkey get a huge workload in week one. So I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit there for him and just kind of go with Rico Dowdle. Been in the league a little bit. Seems like he's the guy in a high-powered offense that game could go either way. I mean, Cleveland is a solid defense. So is Dallas. Do we see that 5-10 game? Do we see 35-35? It could go either way. And so I'm going to go with the guy in what has a more likelihood to produce a ton of points. Yoshivas, though, is solid if Chase doesn't play. It's kind of a toss up there for me. I have Dowdle ranked higher, as well as does everybody else at FTN. So I would probably lean towards the running back in Dowdle. But I get the mindset behind playing Yoshivas. So I could go. Honestly, it's a flip either way with that one. So that's a tough one. I get why you're asking, but I would go Dowdle. He is the guy that I have ranked higher. So we have at Robert Chiaben 5 on X. Who should I start at tight end? Njoku. At tight end, Njoku or Pat. I'm guessing that's Freiermuth. And then should I flex Deontay Johnson, Chase Brown, Cortland Sutton, McLaughlin, or Burton? So this one's pretty easy at tight end. It's going to be Njoku. I know it's Dallas, but Pat Freiermuth, I'm still worried. We got to see what this Arthur Smith offense looks like. We saw him make Kyle Pitts basically irrelevant for us for more times than not in fantasy. So I'm going to lay off Pat Freiermuth in week one. Let's see what it looks like. Then the flex spot here, I'm going Sutton. I like Cortland Sutton as like the guy there in Denver. Jaleel McLaughlin's interesting as well against Seattle, but I like Cortland Sutton. I think that game's going to be a pretty high scoring game. I think that gets a little sneaky there. I do think Seattle does manage to pull that one off. But I do think Cortland Sutton's going to have a plenty of opportunities to have that ability to put us in the end zone, much like he has in the past. And not many options outside of him. So I'm going to go with Cortland Sutton there. Deontay Johnson, still worried about Bryce Young. He's probably getting Lattimore. Never a good option there in New Orleans there. So we got at H8UH10 on X, Raheem Mostert or Jerome Ford. I'm going to go with Mostert. The Jags defense is going to be a little bit tougher against the run, but obviously so is Dallas's. Mostert. That Jaguars Dolphins game, I think, is going to explode. Now, again, Tyreek Hill, breaking news in the beginning, if you haven't heard it yet, was detained. So hopefully he does make it to the game. But either way, I do think that that game could get sneakily explosive. So Raheem Mostert, a guy that scored a ton of touchdowns last year, likely finding the end zone again here in week one. So I'm going to go with Raheem Mostert there. Is Pittman more of a stud than JSN this week? Yes. Let's be honest. I love me some JSN. Big JSN guy. Love what Seattle's doing. I think Seattle's going to be a sneakily good team. I think JSN's going to be a sneakily good fantasy asset. I have him in plenty of paces, redraft, dynasty, you name it. But Michael Pittman Jr. is another guy that I really like a lot as well. So I'm rolling Pittman. I think that in the small, very, 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 very small sample size that we got from Michael Pittman and Anthony Richardson last year, Richardson still was peppering him. I know majority of the production came from the likes of Gardner Minshew, but Anthony Richardson, I think, is going to be the guy here to be able to get Michael Pittman the ball. I know a lot of people want to be in on AD Mitchell because it's a shiny new toy. No Josh Downs. Solid play. I get it as a flex guy, but I don't think he's going to eat into Michael Pittman's work too much. I do think Pittman manages to find the end zone this week. We got Pete at P3DRO. 23 on X. Uh, Yoshivas or Deontay Johnson. I'm going DJ here. I get the love for Yoshivas. It's just risky business. I know DJ gets Lattimore. We just kind of talked about it, but I just I don't know what the Bengals offense is, and this game is going to be pretty much in hand. I would think. I don't think New England's going to surprise many people here. I think you're going to see a lot of Chase Brown. I think you're going to see a lot of Zach Moss, more Zach Moss than Chase Brown. But in turn, we're not going to see a ton of Yoshivas or this passing attack. You'll see him. He's going to be on the field. Be running wind sprints, but he's not going to probably see as many targets as we would like to breed a super productive day. I think he does all right. But Deontay Johnson, if New Orleans gets up on Carolina, Johnson's likely going to be peppered. So I'm in on at least seeing the targets. Lattimore might be a tough matchup, but maybe they can get him away from him. We'll see how that goes throughout the day. We got Tech on X. Hi. Hello. Good morning. Jaylen Warren or Curtis Samuel in full PPR as third flex, leaving Samuel giving less plays check down work for Jaylen Warren. Yoshivas is also on the wire. Yoshivas is going to be the big name today. I can tell already. Let's see here. I'm going to go Warren. I don't think Fields is totally in yet. So I would say that it's going to be Jaylen Warren. Curtis Samuel's interesting. I do like that. It's the question begs, does he get enough opportunity if the Bills get up early? Do we see a lot of James Cook, Ray Davis? Good. If they do kind of, get to the point of where this spread's at. It's one of the bigger spreads of this week, indicating, and hopefully for me as a Bills fan, so I'm not over here sweating it out. They could be up early and often, and you'll see a lot of James Cook and Ray Davis. That's just going to be what this offense is. I also am leery with Curtis Samuel. I know that there's a lot of love because of the connection with Joe Brady, and that's kind of been one of his better fantasy seasons in the past. But early usage and limited usage in the preseason seemed a little gadgety, not full-on gadget for me. But it seems like they really want Keon Coleman to be a thing, and they want Khalil Shakir to be a thing. Curtis Samuel seems like an accessory piece. Going to see some, the yak stuff, the screens, the manufactured type touches. I'm sure he'll see others as that goes on. But I don't know just what we're going to totally get from him. So, again, it's another player that I'm going to err on caution. And I'm going to go ahead and go Jaylen Warren because I know he's going to get involved. He was cleared. We know what Arthur Smith wants to do. He wants to run the ball, especially against Atlanta. All right. Renzo Silva on X. Good morning. Trying to decide between Chuba and Brian Thomas Jr. in my flex. I'm going to go Chuba Hubbard. I like Brian Thomas Jr. somewhatly. Wasn't my favorite player throughout the process. Seems like he's gotten a little bit better in camp as far as diversifying his route tree. I felt like at LSU he was very limited. I also feel like the Jaguars want to limit him, not like want to, but I think what their purpose for him is to be a field stretcher, kind of hit those intermediate deep portions of the field. A little bit of what Calvin Ridley did. So not a bad thing by any means. Excuse me. And he came on late at the end of camp. Rookies, I tend to err on caution in week one. Yes, it can work out. Yes, it can't. We saw Xavier Worthy hit week one here just a couple days ago, but that's not the norm. And again, Worthy had like 3 touches. One was a blown coverage. It was a pass off that the safety wasn't there. The other was a convoy. I mean, I don't know about me because I up there in age, but you younger, spry, sort of physically fit people probably could have got that one in the end zone there with that convoy that Worthy had. Not saying that, not taking it away from him. It was a great performance, but let's be honest, that's hyper efficient and unlikely to continue going forward. Scoring 2 touchdowns on 3 touches. So error on the caution. I'm going Chuba. Huge workload in store. Dave Canales, definitely some checkdowns, lots of work. He's a guy that we saw be very consistent as a running back too in the back half of the second portion of the season last year. We got Lack on X. Rank in order in which you would start them: JD, Dak, and Goff. That order. I have Daniels ranked as a top 7 quarterback this week. He is at 6 for me. A little bit higher than some other people out there. But Jaden Daniels is a guy that I really do like this week. I think that the rushing upside is going to be there. Let's see. I have him at 6. He's the highest of FTN rankers. The rest of them are at 10. So he's still a quarterback 1 for everybody else as well, if you don't want to trust myself. But I do think that he's going to have a good day against this Tampa Bay defense that a little bit up there. As far as age goes, they have struggled in the past against rushing quarterbacks. So I think Jaden Daniels could be in store for a good day, especially once they get near the red zone. I think we'll see a lot of RPOs and some rushing touchdowns in there for Jaden Daniels. L. Spalding on X. Streaming defensive special teams this year. Who would you roll in week 1? Available teams: Seattle, Jets, Vikings, Atlanta, and Tampa. I'm going with the Vikes. It's not a strong unit by any means. Or Seattle, actually. I'd probably go. Let's go Seattle. Seattle's a little bit better of a unit. I do like the Vikings as well against the Giants, but Seattle gets Bo Nix. We're not sure what that's going to be and how that Denver team goes. A little bit stronger unit there in Seattle, so I'm going to go with Seattle there for you. X need to start 1 running back. 1 flex out of, okay, so we got 2 starters here: Jerome Ford, Brian Robinson Jr., Ridley, Brian Thomas Jr., A.D. Mitchell. Brian Robinson Jr. I like it. Billy, I'm gonna go Jerome Ford for sure. I like the spot for him against Dallas. And then I would probably go Ridley. I think that games could get sneaky. The question though is Jalen Johnson scares me a little. Yeah, I'm gonna go Ford and Ridley still. I think that's probably your safest bet at this point. Brian Thomas Jr. is a guy that I don't necessarily want to trust yet. A.D. Mitchell, same thing against Houston. Brian Robinson would be the only one that I'm thinking maybe going double running back there instead of Ridley. I think Robinson's going to have a good year this year. Against Tampa Bay, it could be a pretty good spot for him. So I would go maybe Ford and Ridley. If you're really worried about Ridley against that Bears secondary, go Brian Thomas Jr. All right. J Money picks on X. Start 3: Keenan, Deontay Johnson, Pickens, Javonte Williams, Josh Palmer. So Javonte for me, I do think he manages to find the end zone today. I don't know if it's a massive day, but I think he could have a solid day for us. Palmer's another one. I think it's not going to be crazy great, but I do think we get a solid day out of Josh Palmer in that Chargers passing attack. And then I'm going to go game script and coaching and go Deontay Johnson. Keenan Allen, though, sneaky. I'm going to go Keenan. A little bit better matchup for Keenan Allen, but not super. The Titans sneakily got really good on defense. So I think that this is one of those dark horse defensive teams as well. So kind of watching a little bit there. Moose, Ridley, or Swift full PPR on X is going to be DeAndre Swift for me there. Let's see here. Imagine Interpreter MD. We got start 3 of DK Metcalf, Tank, Dell, Jerome Ford, JSN. Also half PPR Lad, Isovia, Yoshvis, or Dowdle. That one I'm going to go Dowdle. Or no, we should probably do this in order so it's easier to read. DK. Ford. And Dell or JSN. Let's see here. I'm trying to remember exactly where I have them. So we got Dell at 42. Why can't I find JSN? Oh, there he is. 36. I'm going to go JSN. You could pass against the Denver secondary. JSN's not getting Patrick Surtain, who you can't pass against. So I'm going to go with JSN. I think that we could see a little bit of that start of the breakout there for him. John Jensen, better bench stash Ray Davis or Gabe Davis. Davis. Always stash the running backs. Gabe Davis, love it, but it's going to be a boomer bust. You don't want to deal with the headache totally. Maybe it gets a little bit more. I have been a little bit on the side of maybe this gets a little more consistent with arguably some decent, maybe some better quarterback play. You could argue it. I mean, Trevor Lawrence hasn't been great, but maybe in what is a quarterback that doesn't really key in totally on one player. Josh has tended to do that in the past, / felt the need to feed Stephon Diggs as opposed to spread it out to just the open guy. Where I feel like Trevor doesn't necessarily do that. There's a little bit more of a less of a hierarchy in this target volume. So I do think that maybe Davis could see a little bit more consistency over time this year, but I do kind of still lean to stash running backs because if you have an injury and Ray Davis is now the guy, he's going to have almost a 3-down workload, much more upside on your bench. You don't need him to start right now. You're stashing him. So why go with a guy that's like a wide receiver 3? At least stash the running back for now. And then it's an easy cut if he doesn't get that opportunity anytime soon. Billy, I am worried about. Yeah, I get it. I don't blame you. Especially if he draws Johnson, that's going to be a tough day for Calvin Ridley. So I don't mind Brian Robinson Jr. If you want to go with that crazy thing, like I said, Brian Thomas Jr. sneaky, I guess. If you want a high upside, like I said, I think that game gets really like hits the over pretty easily. So I could see where Brian Thomas Jr. maybe has a big play here or there. But it seems like Ford and Robinson would be like your safer play. What's up, Tyler? Good luck. Yes, good luck to everybody. Hopefully we all at least get fantasy wins. We're not all going to get the NFL wins, but we'll definitely, hopefully, maybe get those fantasy wins out there. Morning, Rachel. Rachel, Tootsie Pop 6 needs a flex 2. Moss, Gus Edwards, Sutton, or Thielen. Always the tough ones. We're going to go with Sutton and Moss. The only reason I'm not going to go with Gus is I'm not sure what this backfield looks like. I do think Gus may score, but I think Zach Moss is in for a big day against New England. I just think the Bengals get up early and they're going to have to run the ball a lot. And Zach Moss is going to be the guy. And I think the influx of that is that Denver, I think, gets down on Seattle. They're going to have to be passing, and I think it's going to be Cortland Sutton. So, and there it is. Justin Fields is the starter today. Russell Wilson is going to be inactive. So that should be that changes things a lot for a lot of us out there. If you do roster Justin Fields, he becomes an interesting start for sure. Now, I don't know if it really affects Warren as much. It may a little bit, but I wouldn't get too crazy as far as removing, say, Warren from my lineup here. The question really comes is Justin Fields. Definitely going to add some wrinkles into whether or not we should start Justin Fields. I'm going to probably put him middle of the ranks, probably at quarterback 18 territory. Maybe we might go. This is tough. Probably 15, right in the smack dab in the middle. I'm going to move Justin Fields to quarterback 15 here as we get that. The rushing upside is really good, and I really like that from Fields. So it probably gives him a little bit of a boost. I'll probably put him up at quarterback 15, see what we get out of him today. I think he's already proven that, so hopefully could be a sneaky play for you if you need a quarterback. Let's see here. Zach Moss, Jalen Waddle, or McConkey. That's definitely Waddle. 100% Jalen Waddle there for you. Nicker MKT on X. Buddha Bill, we got pick 3, 1 point PPR, Jamar Chase, Olave, Waddle, Godwin, McLaurin. Ooh, that's a loaded receiver room there, eh? I'm going to go Chase, Waddle, McLaurin. Man, that's a good receiver room. But I know it's crazy, but I'm going to sit Jalen Waddle. Or not Waddle. Olave. Defense special teams for Kyle on X, Cincinnati, Atlanta, or Minnesota. Cincinnati. They're my top ranked defense this week. McLaurin or Javante for Jesse McGinnis. That's going to be McLaurin. I like McLaurin today. I think that McLaurin pairs well with Jaden Daniels' skill type. Pretty much the only receiver there for them. Baseline junkies, we got Diggs, Cup, Marvin Harrison Jr. pick 2. Cup and MHJ. I think Harrison has a pretty decent day against the Bills. Cup, I think, is the guy there in LA. I know Puka Nacua had his thing, but I am going with Cup. Diggs is going to be an interesting fold there for this Houston offense to see how that breaks out a little bit. Chuck Steele here. We've got Dak or Justin Fields. I'm going Dak. It's a lot closer than I'd probably like it to be, but I'm going to go with Dak here still. I know it's a tough matchup, but I'm still going Dak there. Orias on X need 3 flexes: Deontay Johnson, JSN, Jerome Ford, Brian Robinson Jr., Zeke, McLaughlin, and Palmer. I am going to say that's a tough one. Let's see here. So I want Ford for sure. I think JSN is a solid one here. And then the 3, it's between Deontay Johnson, McLaughlin, and Palmer for the 3rd spot for me. I want to say I'm going to go Palmer, I think, here. A little bit easier of a matchup for him. So that's where I'm going to roll. Let's see here. David Dubensky on X, Connor Ridley Pickens. Connor, pretty easy there for me. For that one, he's also got Ayuk, Cooper, McLaurin. I'm gonna go McLaurin there. Ayuk, Ford, or Moss. I'll go Moss. Half PPR for Brian on X. Jerome Ford or Brian Thomas Jr. for Bella. I am going to go Ford. We've got Kevin on X, Chris Godwin or Mostert in Flex. Standard League is all Raheem Mostert. We want those touchdowns in standard scoring formats, and Raheem Mostert is the guy for the Dolphins. We got Dak or Fields, and so it begins. I still have Dak ranked higher. I mean, Fields is intriguing. Don't get me wrong, but I want to see it, I guess. We know the rushing's going to be there, but I still think that Dak is a top 12 quarterback this week. I don't know if Fields gets there. He may make me look silly by saying that, but I'm going to go with Dak still this week. And then watch, Justin Fields you probably might as well go with Fields, because when I say this is usually what happens. Justin Fields is going to go off as like quarterback 4 and rush for like 9 million yards. But I don't know if that really happens. So I'm going to err on the side of caution. I'm going to go ahead and go with Dak for now. Let's see here. Graham on X. I'm going to go with full PPR. We got Tajay Spears or Lad McConkey. 6-point passing touchdowns, Kyler Murray or Richardson. I'm going to go Spears and Murray. I think Murray has a pretty good day today. I think that this is a closer game than what they predict. If not, Murray's going to be playing from behind more than likely. So I think that we're going to see him throwing the ball. Richardson, Houston, that's sneakily a shootout though. So it is intriguing. I have Murray at 5 and Richardson at 7. So you're like splitting hairs here. But I do lean Kyler Murray just by a little bit. So Tech is rolling back through. Sang Fields is playing now. Still roll with Warren or go Samuel or Andre. Um, I still like Warren, but the upside's probably a little bit less. So I guess if you really want to try and swing for the upside play, maybe go Andre, I suppose. But I still like Warren enough to play him. I think that even without the rushing or without the easy dump off portion of his game, I still think that he's going to have a pretty big day in the capacity of rushing the football. So I do think that we still could play Jalen Warren for sure. Let's see here. We got Tucker, Robbins. Anything you'd change? He's got Mixon, Williams, McLaurin, St. Brown, Ferguson, Shakir, and Garrett Wilson in his starting lineup. Najee, Ford, Robinson, Mason, Reed, JSN. Ooh, the Reed on the bench one kind of hurt a little bit. Tucker, I'm sorry. You did have Lamar start though, so that's a good start. But that Jaden Reed one hurt. I can tell emotionally. Let's see here. Yeah, I like it. I don't think I'd really change anything. I think what you got is pretty solid there. We got Brandy here. Start Dak or Jared Goff. I'm gonna go Dak here. I like Goff. It should be it should be somewhat of a shootout there in Detroit, but I still like Dak as a good option this week over Jared Goff. All right. Looks like some of the questions are slowing down a little bit here. Some of these questions didn't make it up there. Let's see here, Steve. We got: would you start Gibbs and Montgomery or flex Tank Dell? I'd play both Lions running backs. Let's see here. Let's see. Looks like we're slowing down a bit here. We got Jay here, Dak or Stafford. I got Dak. Still, Dak is a top 12 guy this week. I know it's a tough matchup against Cleveland, but I think he's going to be all right. I don't necessarily. I know that Cleveland's done some pretty solid performances against other quarterbacks in the past, but I think Dak, CD Lamb, Ferguson. I think that this game is still a good spot for Dak this week. I'm not gonna panic on it. I think he can be a top 12 option still this week. All righty here. Let's see what we got here. NCK on X, Godwin, Mozart, or Tank Dell. I'm gonna go Raheem Mostert. I think that again. I think he's in for probably a touchdown this week. Potent offense. I know Houston's good, very good at passing the football, but I still want to see kind of how this falls out here with Tank Dell, Diggs, and Collins. To me, it feels like it's Dell or Diggs, and I really think they're going to feed Diggs in an actual game. We got Steve Pavia coming back in. Says thanks. I think Fields limits Najee's chances to score. Would you use Ford instead of Najee? I would have used Ford instead, anyways. I think that I know it's a decent run defense there in Dallas, but we've seen them get run on before, and I think that Cleveland, of all of them, can definitely run the football well, and I think Jerome Ford will have a decent day there for him. We got Benji. Who would you start in the flex half point PPR league? Stevenson or Keenan Allen? That's tough because the Patriots are going to be playing from behind, and Stevenson's like a PPR machine. I honestly feel like I almost have Stevenson ranked too low in my running backs, truthfully. Um, where do I even have him? Too low. Because I feel like I passed him. Oh, there he is. I'm at 30, and that seems really low. I'm probably going Stevenson in half PPR. The more you think about it, like I said, you're looking at a team that's going to be playing from behind. Jacoby Brissett ain't running with the football. Stevenson's going to be probably their guy. Gibson may dabble in there a bit, but I think Stevenson still plays majority of the third downs. So I'm kind of more so on the leaning towards Stevenson in a half PPR format. I do like Keenan Allen, but not totally sold on Keenan Allen. So it does look like Jamar Chase is active and will play today. The inactives are Higgins and some others that we don't really care too much about for fantasy, at least. So Jamar Chase is a go. Jay's also got Neighbors or Pickens half PPR. I'd go Malik Neighbors. It's a good spot. I think he's gonna be in a good spot. The Giants are gonna be throwing a lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with Malik Neighbors there. I think he's the guy. I don't think it's a huge day. But definitely better than George Pickens, who now, especially with Justin Fields, nothing against Fields, but I don't want anything to do with that passing attack from Pittsburgh today. Mixon or Kamara half PPR, Alvin Kamara. PPR gold, even in half PPR. I'm all in on Alvin Kamara. Again, there's not much behind him. Jamal Williams is Kendra Miller, even if he's active, is so yeah, Alvin Kamara going to have those nice, easy Derek Carr checkdowns. I have Alvin Kamara aggressively ranked this week. Really like him as a top 10 option this week. So I'm all in on Alvin Kamara. Joe Mixon, less. There's gonna be a lot of passing. Unless Mixon gets in the end zone, I don't see maybe they check down, but CJ Stroud doesn't check down to the running backs. He just doesn't. He's just gonna layer in a dime somewhere else to one of the other 14 options they have in this passing attack. So I'm less excited about Joe Mixon this week and this year. All righty. Let's see what else we got here. Alrighty. Let's see here. Pena Cripps, Ford Swift, or Moss? Swift. Pretty easy there. Let's see what else we got coming in here. Let's head on over here. Let's check this out. So we got Kit Keller, lost Jordan Love for a while. Might need someone on the wire. Who would you grab? Kirk Cousins, Mayfield, or Watson? I'm gonna go Mayfield. There, not really start sit, but we'll hit that one. Let's see here. We've got Michael Stravone, Pickens, Ridley, JSN against Denver. I'm gonna go JSN there. PPR flex. Who do you start? Najee Harris, Addison, or Sutton? I'm gonna go Cortland Sutton there. Nando is worried about Chase's snap count. Don't. We'll be all right there. The Bengals aren't going to lose that game, and they're not going to totally snap count him to the extent. Jerry Jeudy or Gabe Davis here for the bone collector. I'm going Davis. I don't mind Jerry Jeudy, but I think Gabe Davis could have a decent day. Flex spot, who you start in Jamar Chase is active. Chase, Pittman Jr., or Jones. I'm going to go Pittman here just in case, because if there is a little bit of a snap count, which I don't know how much we're totally going to see here, I think Pittman could be in store for a little bit better of a day if that snap count does come to fruition. And they get up early. They might not see Chase that much in the second half. Need to pick two Chesko 650, pick two wide receivers to start at flex. Need a wide receiver and to start at flex. Okay. Brian Robinson Jr., I was going to say, some of these are not receivers. I would say Brian Robinson and Ferguson. Yeah. B-Rob and Ferguson. Which quarterback to start? Standard league, Fields, Herbert, or Rodgers? There, I'd go Fields. Sandy, Mixon, Javonte Williams, Chase, or Bowers need to play one. Yeah, you got to start Jamar Chase. Don't get too crazy here, Sandy. Who to start, Stafford or Fields? That one's Fields again. Need to start one in my flex: Metcalf, Palmer, Ridley, or Sutton. I'll go Metcalf. I know it's going to be a little bit of a tough matchup against Surtain, but I think he still has his day. Full PPR, Eckler, Pollard, or Singletary for Jeff. That's Pollard for sure. Chris Smith, Chase Brown, Odunze, or Ice Yoshevis. I'll go Yoshevis here. Who should I start? Jaden Daniels or Lawrence? That's going to be Daniels for me. Who do you start? Godwin or Deontay Johnson? I'll go Godwin there. Pitts for the Ayuk for Sandy as well. I'm going to go Pitts. MW316 team PPR went late tight end. Who do you like this week on Ertz, Okonkwo, or Parkinson? I'm going to go Parkinson. I know it sounds wild, but Ertz could be interesting. I don't like Okonkwo. Could be different offense now. Kate Otten, not really a thing for me. Hubbard or Stevenson? I'm gonna go with Stevenson. Neil better start. Daniels or Goff? That's gonna be Daniels for me. Better start for PPR, Palmer or Tony Pollard? That's Pollard. Or myself. Moss or Eckler is going to be Moss for Husky Lova Heavy Stevo. It's a fun name there. Let's see here. See here. I'm gonna find the inactives. Those should be coming out here. Inactives. Let's take a look. All righty. Let's go through those quick as we have. Oh, there we go. Sorry, Jesse. Made you hang out there for a couple minutes. Should I drop McConkey or write for Corum? If you wanna, it's up to you. I wouldn't. I mean, I get it. Jalen Wright and Blake Corum are very similar. Blake Corum, both good run schemes. I mean, Corum's an easier path than Wright. Wright still got Mostert and Achane. So Corum's really just got Kyron Williams, and maybe that's more of a 50-50 than we expect. McConkey, I guess it would depend on the rest of your team. If you're super deep at receiver, like McConkey's like your fifth receiver, maybe I just go with Corum. Because like the upside for McConkey is there, but also not. Like if Palmer shows out, like who says he's not the guy? And McConkey's kind of a secondary option in a low volume passing attack where Corum could be the guy at some point here. We've seen Kyron Williams' inability to stay fully healthy. So if anything, it would be Corum for McConkey. But again, if you're like rostering Bijan Robinson and Breece Hall, say you're playing Dynasty, like you're never starting Corum or Wright over either of those. So really depends on where your roster's at, Jesse. You really want to kind of find like where's your deficiency at and where would these guys maybe play. Like if you're really deep at running back, you don't need two stashes. Take your pick, Wright or Corum. That's up to you. I think it's a coin flip. If you're super deep at receiver and McConkey's literally never going to play, then sure, stash both running backs. I think that's my process too. When I stash players, that's kind of where I'm at. Let's see here. Steve, DK, or Neighbors. I'm going to go DK. I do like Malik Neighbors, but I still lean DK Metcalf even in a tough matchup. We got Steve-O coming back. too much of a timeshare for him. But there's also Chase Brown in Cincinnati. Alrighty. Dun, dun. We got Dylan. Should I start Keenan Allen? Have Spears, Shakir? Otherwise, yeah, I suppose. I feel like it's a toss up between him or Shakir. I lean Shakir a little bit just because I think that he's more involved in this passing attack than Allen maybe in Chicago, but it's kind of a 50-50 toss up. So surprise inactive of the beginning of the morning is Jalen Wright. That's wild to me. Intriguing. So I guess in that question where you mentioned Jalen Wright or Blake Corum, maybe Jesse, pull back up. Maybe you do grab Corum. Maybe Wright's lower than we expected. It's weird that he's inactive, for sure. Brandon Waddle or Devontae Adams with Tyreek Hill news. He's not inactive, so I'm gonna say Tyreek Hill's playing. So I don't think it changes anything. So I'm gonna go Devontae Adams. I mean, you need a boom play. I mean, Jalen Waddle's probably your boom, I guess, Brandon, but Devontae Adams could too. He's probably going to get fed pretty well in this offense, would be my guess. So I still have Devontae Adams ahead of Jalen Waddle. And like I said, Tyreek Hill's not inactive. The Dolphins inactives are out, and he's not on there. The surprise, like I just said, is Jalen Wright and Malik Washington. So my assumption is Hill will play, and he will probably be Tyreek Hill. If not, more pissed off Tyreek Hill. So could go either way. But either way, I still think Devontae Adams is the play there for you. Eric Gresser, Neighbors, or Waddle half PPR. That's Jalen Waddle. Always has been. Jalen Waddle's a top 15 guy almost weekly. It's just a very high volume, condensed target share in Miami. So Jalen Waddle's almost a plug and play. Brandon, except for you. Don't do it. Devontae Adams. Oh, I mean, honestly, you can't go wrong, Brandon. Waddle or Devontae Adams. We're splitting hairs. I have one at 11 and one at like 14. So like you're talking 2 points. So Brandon, if you got a vibe for Jalen Waddle, do it. But I think it's Devontae Adams for you. And then we got Eric here. It's Waddle over Neighbors. Let's see here. Chris Smith, we got any particular reason? Him over Brown. So my main concern here with the Yoshevitz over Brown is that Zach Moss is going to take enough of the work that doesn't make Chase Brown that appealing. We're kind of crowning him as a third down guy. Excuse me. The issue is that Zach Moss is a really good pass blocker. Knowing this as a Bills fan, I've seen him play plenty of games, been pissed off at him enough. But he's a very good pass blocker. So we have kind of said, oh, hey, Chase Brown's the off-speed guy. He's going to play third downs. He's going to catch it. He's going to do great. I mean, or is this Zach Moss the third down guy? Chase Brown, or are they interchangeable? Do they play all downs? Both of them. So we don't know what this backfield completely looks like when the games count. So I'm still leaning Yoshevitz, it's pretty clear. Higgins ain't playing. So that's pretty clear to me as far as Yoshevitz versus Chase Brown goes. So we got one here, Mostert or Josh Palmer. That's Mostert. I mean, no Jalen Wright clears that up a lot, which again, surprise. I love me some Jalen Wright, and I'm really concerned that he's inactive. I'm gonna have to see if there's something out there that states a little bit more of why he's inactive. I'm just looking at a list of inactives, so I don't know if there's any clarity to why. Um, but yeah, that's a little concerning for me. So yeah, but either way, that definitely gives you some clarity there for the running back room. It's just gonna be Mostert and Achan, much of what we saw last year, and we know how well that worked out for Raheem Mostert. Don't expect anything different. Another surprise inactive here from the Bears, Roshan Johnson. At one point, we thought Khalil Herbert was going to lose his job. It seems like Roshan Johnson has lost his job. That experiment may be over. Dynasty players, take note. Yeah, that might be a guy that we're looking to drop potentially. Not fully yet, but that's not good in season 2 to be inactive in week 1. There, good news for Khalil Herbert, obviously, and if you roster Khalil Herbert. Let's see here. Any other surprises in any of these? Cam Akers, not too surprised. John Mechie, not too surprised. Colts, nothing surprising. New Orleans, A.T. Perry. I mean, it wasn't going to be a fantasy guy for us today, but A.T. Perry's interesting, sitting it down for the Saints. Javon Baker's inactive for New England, so for everybody who kept trying to tell you Javon Baker was the best receiver in New England, you can send that back to them if you would like. Never made a ton of sense to me as why everybody loved Javon Baker, but to each their own. Let's see here. Roman Wilson out for the Steelers. Russell Wilson, obviously, with Justin Fields starting. Nothing else crazy so far with those. Um, I guess it's disciplinary, and to double check that, we'll see. We'll give him a break. Won't say he's terrible yet, but yeah, Javon Baker, that is. Guess it's disciplinary, healthy scratch. Who does that nowadays at the NFL level? Either way, still don't like Javon Baker. Let's see what we got going on here. Any other questions we can pull up here and help some people out, help some people win some fantasy games here. We got half PPR for E-D, Ridley, JSN, or Warren. Locked and loaded. Let's go JSN here. E/D. Half PPR super flex for Sandy, Najee, Mixon, or Javante. I'd go Mixon there. That's a close enough one. I do like Javante though too a little bit. Sandy, Javante's not playing the Raiders, so FYI. Danny, start Aaron Jones or Chris Godwin. Aaron Jones, folks. I know he's older, and I know he's had his time, but biggest issue with Aaron Jones is health. It's never been whether to start him or not. He's healthy. Fire him up week 1. Let's at least get that out of him. Tyler, Superflex, Matt Stafford, and or Justin Fields. That is Justin Fields for me. Let's see here. Ayuk in a limited role. Trying to double multitask here. Almost called it a double task. That's even worse, right? Where are we at here? Ayuk, limited role, or sub in Pollard, Aaron Jones. I'd go Jones here. Good spot. Again, against the Giants, he's healthy. That's always been the biggest issue: is Jones going to be healthy or not for the games? We don't have to worry about that because he is healthy. So I am going to go ahead and roll Aaron Jones. Brenda Raleigh, half PPR flex, Pickens, Javante, Hubbard, or D Johnson. I'm going to go Javante in this situation. For you, Brenda. Chase against New England, McLaughlin, or Warren for Sandy. That's Jamar Chase. Let's not get too crazy here on us. I like Turtles. I like your name. But it's Terry or Devin Singletary. That's going to be Terry for me. Let's see here. Adams start, Jalen Warren, or Ramondre Stevenson. That's going to be Stevenson for me. Jane Daniels or Dak for JT. That's going to be Daniels. Start one full PPR. Rico Dowdle, Josh Palmer, Yoshevich. Josh Palmer for Johnny. Bert McGirt. Kincaid, Mozart, or Dell. It's going to be Mozart, especially with no Jalen Wright. Where'd everybody go? I lost my feed here. There it is. You got too many windows open. You get all over the place here, folks. Pick one. James Cook, Elvin Kamara. Ooh, that's a close one. I'm going to go Kamara. I'm ranked a little bit higher than James Cook. Can't really go wrong, though, to be honest. Tough decision to have. Everybody always says it's a good decision to have. It's really a bad situation. I don't want to have to pick that. That's a tough go. I couldn't handle rostering that. It happens. I've got teams like it in some spots, but it's a tough situation. Not a good situation. 8 on 5-point passing touchdown. Interesting scoring. Interesting. Split the 4 and the 6. Just went in the middle with 5. Interesting. But Dak or Caleb? I'm going to go Dak. I do. I really think. I know it's not the best matchup. A lot of people are probably going to tell you not to. I have him ranked extremely high. Well, I wouldn't say extreme. Kind of extremely high compared to the likes of others over at FTN Fantasy. Could be good, could be bad. I guess we'll find out here in a few short hours. But I don't think the matchup is as tough as it seems. It has been for other teams in the past. But one of those being the 49ers. But the 49ers have never always been, meh. It's like Brock Purdy's is good. He's not good. But I think that when you're looking at the supporting cast around, say, Brock Purdy or the likes of Dak Prescott, you can argue Brock Purdy is a better one. But I do think that Dak has a good day-to-day. CeeDee Lamb is the better of all of those receivers that we can mention. I think he is in store for a good day. I also think that it's a little bit of a shootout more than what we think. We're anticipating this Browns team to look different in year 2, or a year away from what it was last year on defensively. So I'm gonna still ride with Dak. I think that there's some love there for me still for Dak. I think he's a top 10 guy this week. Oh, let's see here. We are slowing down as expected. I mean, it's week 1. More than not, the old adage, just start your studs is a full go for me as well. It doesn't have to be studs. More times than not, you're just drafting or you're starting the first 10 players you started or drafted, I should say. Outside of an injury or something wild, but I don't really anticipate Didn't anticipate too many questions this week, so we'll see if we make it to 12:30. But if it continues at this nice, casually slow pace here for the next couple minutes, we might dip out a little early. We'll see. But I'm sure some people are just now getting to their lineups, so we'll hang out. We'll sit here. If you want to hop in, we'll talk about anything, whatever you want to talk about. But actually, we can use this time perfectly. Also updated. If you're a college football person, you're watching this perhapsly. Just updated the Superflex prospect ranks as well over at FTNFantasy.com. So make sure you head on over there. Haven't actually really talked about it. Probably should have talked about that earlier in general. Head on over at FTNFantasy.com. If you're watching this, this is free. We got some great content. All the rankings. You could not have to come see me. Although I'd appreciate you to come hang out on Sunday morning because it does get boring talking to do it by myself if nobody comes to ask questions. So I would appreciate you to still come. Maybe say hello. We'll talk about something else, the weather, whatever you want. But definitely head on ftnfantasy.com. Subscribe if you have not. We have some of the best rankings out there, whether it's Jeff Radcliffe, Chris Meany, Mike Randall, Adam Pfeiffer, myself, Scott Spratt. Real good group of rankers. You get a good consensus as well. It's not just two people ranking, and that's your consensus. You got 5 or 6 of the better minds in the industry definitely diving into these rankings and giving you some of the best advice out there. As well as you get premium content, you get a Discord chat as well. If you're playing Dynasty, I'm in there running that Discord chat as well. We got some good betting Discords as well. A great team over there, whether you bet, play Dynasty, redraft, DFS, tons and tons of great content over there at ftnfantasy.com. So definitely head on over there, check it out if you have not yet. It's a good spot, good subscription to have. I know a lot of people don't like to pay sometimes for fantasy advice, but it's a really good subscription. It's going to help you dearly. It's even helped me as a fantasy analyst grow. So it's a great group of experts to invest in. We got Daniel A here, Deontay Johnson, Najee Harris. I'm going to go DJ there for you. And a little bit better game script with Fields. What is that? Is it a guy that's going to steal those rushing touchdowns from Najee Harris now? Kind of really changes the whole dynamic of that offensive attack. With McCaffrey still listed as questionable, stay with him or go Braylon Allen or Javonte Williams. Cheryl, no. I would still play McCaffrey. He's going to play. They've sat him out. He's not playing there, Cheryl. But go CMC. Don't worry. Don't worry. He'll be fine. And if not, being honest, like Braylon Allen, I think he'll be all right. I'm sure you can, depending on your league, there might be a waiver ad that you could make to help you out there. If need be, if for some godforsaken reason that we see CMC not started up. Let's see here. We got Jay Boogie start 2 out of McBride and Mooney or Dortch. McBride and Mooney. Don't double dip. I know it's going to be a interesting game there for Arizona against my beloved Bills, but get some Mooney in your life. I like it. Chris Smith, Jerome Ford, or Aaron Jones. That's going to be Jones. Rich Harvey, Terry McLaurin, or Cooper. I'm going to go McLaurin. It's close. I like Terry McLaurin against that secondary, though. Anthony Richardson, second cousin. That's cool. Zach Moss or Jalen Warren. I'm going to go Zach Moss. And I'm going to say I know Anthony Richardson's second cousin. Helped him with some fantasy advice. Let's see here. Baseline. Good morning, Bills fan. What are your thoughts on Davis? Uh, I don't mind him as stash. I really don't. I think that his role will not be much until there's an injury to James Cook. I think James Cook is the guy. They want him to be the guy. They showed us that last year. Now in between the 20s, maybe we see Ray Davis inside the red zone a little bit more. But I think James Cook is also, he's been a pretty good red zone runner. They just, I think, want to save him a little bit and limit those types of hits. But Josh Allen, too, has been a guy in the red zone. I think they continue to use that as a weapon. There's no point not to. As well as we're going to see some receiver screens. We're going to see a lot of variety. So I'm not like locking Ray Davis into this like Gus Edwards role that we saw last year. But I do think, obviously, if there's an injury to James Cook, like Ray Davis is it. Unless they're bringing Kareem Hunt or somebody off the streets here, Ray Davis is going to be the guy. So if you have space, 100%, I would think he needs to be stashed. This week, you're probably going to see him if the game script goes as planned, at least me as a Bills fan, and Vegas tells us. Hopefully in the second half, we're going to see a lot of running the football, and you're going to see James Cook and Ray Davis. And if Ray Davis has a good week, he ain't going to get, it's going to be a waiver wire top priority for a lot of people. Doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen going forward once these games get a little bit tougher for the Bills. But I definitely do think that he's a good stash for sure, depending on who you have. Like, if say you're stashing Jalen Wright, like he's inactive, surprisingly, in week one. Maybe should be stashing Davis instead of Wright. So I do think really good stash, but stash him knowing what you're in for. Might be a little bit of a ride. Farmer Ron, Deontay Johnson, Chuba Hubbard, Keenan Allen, Khalil Herbert, or Tajay Spears. Pick 2. So I'm gonna go Keenan Allen, and I'll go Hubbard. We got the OC thoughts on this squad. We got Love, Barkley, Gibbs, Flowers, Waddle, Trey McBride, Debo Samuel, Steelers defense, Chase Brown, Dalvin Cook. Get rid of Dalvin Cook. No need. Corum, Dowdle. Yeah, I mean, you can hold Dalvin Cook if you want, but that's a good squad. Yeah, I mean, you don't really need Dalvin Cook, but each their own, and a decent stash if you really want. But I like it. What's up, Kelsey? Jaden Daniels or Brock Purdy? Jaden Daniels. Lock it in, load it up. He's a guy I got as my 6th quarterback this week. I think the rushing upside's there, much like we saw from Justin Fields and even the last Commanders quarterback and Sam Howell. Passing volume, rushing upside. Jaden Daniels is a guy that's going to be a good fantasy asset. Doesn't need to be a good NFL quarterback. We saw that with Justin Fields. Like, you don't have to be winning football games to be a good fantasy quarterback. And Jaden Daniels' dual threat abilities is a real good secret that's going to give us a ton of fantasy points, as well as, like, I think the red zone is where you're going to see a lot of Jaden Daniels rushing as well. I think he's not going to be necessarily like Lamar. Like, Lamar has always been a guy that everybody's like, he steals rushing touchdowns, but like, he didn't. That's not how the Ravens operate. They hand to the running backs in the red zone. I don't think the Commanders are going to go that route. I think they're going to use Daniels' legs in the red zone a little bit more to the Josh Allen type, not the Jalen Hurts where it's tush push time, but like, they're going to get him out on the edge, allow him to use his legs as that dual threat ability and put some defenders in sticky situations. So you are welcome, Kelsey. Definitely roll Daniels. Purdy 2 against the Jets. It's never a good time. That's it's a vaunted secondary there. Danny Njoku or Fryermuth. I'm confused on who to start. You shouldn't be. It's okay. Trust it. I know you're leaning David Njoku, so do it. You might not be, but I will never trust Pat Fryermuth in this Arthur Smith offense until we see it. We saw him choose to give touches to Jonnu Smith over Kyle Pitts. Not that Kyle Pitts is the all end all, Travis Kelsey of tight ends. But again, he was leaning. You're leaning Pat. Oof, oof, oof. My apologies. I'm leaning Njoku. So, I mean, you do you. If you're leaning Pat, I get it. No real target competition. But again, now you have Justin Fields. Again, Fields did like Cole Kmet in Cleveland. So, a plus. But David Njoku feels like a guy. I know the production wasn't there from Deshaun Watson, but hopefully maybe, Deshaun Watson saw, hey, he's actually a pretty good guy that we should probably be getting the targets out to. So I am leaning towards Njoku. Just feels a little bit safer in what should be a game. And you can beat Dallas at the tight end position a little better than the receivers. So although the receivers should have a pretty good go this year too. But all right. I will hopefully I'm right. I'm hoping that I'm right for you as well as me, because I do have a lot of David Njoku as well. But side note, that's not why I'm picking him. I just don't trust Arthur Smith and Freiermuth. He's got enough, he could be throwing us to Darnell Washington. He's probably gonna have Cordell Patterson out there getting a plethora of touches, like especially playing Atlanta. He's like probably trying to go like galaxy brain the hell out of this one. So not trusting any Steelers really in this game. Let's see here. I'm gonna get some water here. Looks like we're slowing down now. Let's see, any inactives updated that I missed. Still blows my mind that Jalen Wright's inactive. Not gonna lie, people. A little puzzled by that one. The cursed multiple windows open. Alrighty, looks like we're slowing down. Again, before we do end up shutting the shop up here in a bit, thanks for coming out, if you did, for sure. I'm not leaving yet, but thanks for stopping in, asking questions. It was a pleasure. Hopefully, all things work out well. Hopefully, we get some good fantasy wins in there. I'm hoping for some as well. Always love that good start. But remember, before the end of the day, week 1's not week 16. We ain't losing the season here in week 1 if we do manage to have a dud out there. It happens, You could be like me, I'm sure someone is out there with the good old Mark Andrews basic goose egg out there from week 1. That was a rough one. Definitely killed my tight end rankings. I was right, though. I'm going to say this. Let's just get this off my chest. Just going to coping, processing. I did have Mark Andrews as my top tight end this week, and I feel like it was right. Like, I mean, Isaiah Likely ripped it off. That's how you beat the Chiefs, is the tight end position. I just picked the wrong one. I guess it was Isaiah Likely, not Mark Andrews. I know. So I still have hopes for Mark Andrews. I do. So I just had to get that out there. It felt right to me. That I feel like the process was there. The old process over results with hopefully maybe Likely. If Likely's tight end 1, then I'm definitely going to be like, see, told you. Tight ends against the Chiefs. That's who you want to start. We got Jay Boogie here between 2. Keenan Allen, McBride, Mooney for PPR, not required to start a tight end. I'm going to go Allen and McBride still. McBride's in a good spot against the Bills. The Bills struggle, especially without Matt Milano in the lineup. They're going to struggle a little bit against McBride. It's going to be a tough spot for the Bills to kind of to hold down. And then Keenan Allen. I like Keenan Allen over Darnell Mooney. much as I love Darnell Mooney, until we see it again from him, I'm going to go with Keenan Allen. We know who Keenan Allen is. It's going to be a passing game there in the Chiefs Titans game. So I'm going to roll with that. Alrighty, closing in on it. So again, talked about it just a little bit ago. Talk about it again now. Head on over to ftnfantasy.com. All of our rankings are updated now. So if you have questions, you can check those out quick. Again, usually the highest ranked player is the easy way to go. There's a lot of time invested into our rankings, whether it's projection based or whatever. Most of it's just projection based, as well as then, kind of differentiating. Yeah, this seems right or seems wrong. We tool with those projections a lot. Most of us all do rank from some type of projection and or formula. So it's more than just, hey, I have a feeling. And sometimes the feelings are right. You do move them around a little bit. You got those feelings, There's a couple spots here or there, but for sure it's one of the better rankings out there in this industry. So definitely head on over there, check those out. If you're not a member, definitely sign up today because it's a ton. You get a whole year. So you get it all the way through until next year. We get a ton of rookie scouting guides. You get all the DVOA information from Aaron Schatz, tons of content for that subscription. So it's definitely worth it. We're all out there to help make you guys better fantasy players anyways. We're not going to just be like, hey, do this. I do it here. Start sit stuff, but I give you the thought process as well behind a lot of these picks so that you can kind of not need my help, which, guess I'm putting myself out of a job, right? But either way, if it's to make you guys better fantasy players, that's the goal here. We don't want to hold your hand. Otherwise, I'd just play in your fantasy league. So don't want to hold your hand. I'm going to try to help make you the better player so that ultimately at some point you won't need me, or maybe you'll be doing this and I will call upon you. And Rachel stopping in here at the end. Hello, how are you? It is football day for sure. I answered your question earlier. I think I hit it up on X as well. It's usually typing in those comments as well. But Rachel, it is happy football day. And I'm excited for it. Hopefully the Bills can pull out a win. It's a tough schedule, so we really need that. I'm excited to get to watch Marvin Harrison's first game all day. That should be exciting as well. It's a good go there for that. Have some red zone fired up alongside it as well, of course. So until next week, it has been a pleasure. Hopefully, prayers up. We all get those fantasy wins. If not, remember, week 1, we don't have to panic. We've got plenty of time left. And definitely head on over to ftnfantasy.com to get all of your help going into week 2 if you're going to need it, as well as follow me on X. It's on the screen there at PopesFFH. I'll have tons of stuff coming out throughout the week, as well as I'm going to have my touchdown scored chart as well. Going to build that out as well during the games today. So we'll have that out for you guys as well tomorrow and Tuesday after the Monday night game. So it has been a pleasure. Appreciate you all as always. Till next week. Take care. Good luck.